Thank you for tuning in to this recording of the scoping hearing for the Bluefish Allocation and Rebuilding Amendment. My name is Matthew Seeley, and I'm the staff lead for Bluefish at the Mid-Atlantic Fishery Management Council. Throughout this presentation, I will be discussing the background and purpose of the amendment, a description of the scoping process, issues that may be considered in the amendment, and any next steps moving forward. Bluefish are managed cooperatively by the Mid-Atlantic Fishery Management Council in federal waters and the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission in state waters. Accordingly, this amendment will be a joint action between the two groups that will modify the complementary fishery management plan for each group. The scoping process is also a joint effort, and comments will be reviewed by both groups. The purpose of this amendment is to update the FMP Goals and Objectives for Bluefish management, review and revise the commercial and recreational allocations, the commercial allocations to the states, the quota transfer processes, complete a rebuilding plan, and survey for any other potential issues that stakeholders may feel should be evaluated. The purpose of scoping: this is an early and open process for determining the scope of issues to be addressed. It informs development of a reasonable range of alternatives for further analysis. And it's the first and best opportunity for the public to make suggestions or raise issues before the Council and Commission begin to develop alternatives. This action was initiated because issues and concerns were raised by Council and Commission members, advisors, management partners, other stakeholders in terms of changing conditions in bluefish fisheries, and these changing conditions are everything from biological, social, to economical. Two of the biggest changes are the revised recreational data, which I will discuss in the next two slides, and the change in stock status, which is the reason we are incorporating a rebuilding plan into this amendment. The Marine Recreational Information Program, or MRIP, provides recreational catch and landings data from 1981 to present. In recent years, MRIP made major changes to their methodology for estimating recreational catch and effort. These changes were intended to improve the accuracy of the MRIP estimates and include changes to the dockside intercept survey that measures catch rates, and a new mail-based survey for estimating effort, which replaced the previous telephone survey. Based on these revised methods, in July 2018, MRIP revised their entire time series of catch and harvest estimates going back to 1981. The revised estimates of catch and landings are on average much higher than the previous estimates. For bluefish, these estimates are roughly 3 times higher. Recreational catch is estimated using a combination of fishing effort surveys and catch rate information obtained from shore-based intercept surveys. Effort is measured in estimated angler trips, and catch rates are the estimated number of fish caught per angler trip. Both of these elements together inform the estimated catch. A recent transition from a coastal household telephone survey to a mail-based survey for private angler and shore angler effort was the biggest driver of the changes in catch estimates. The previous coastal household telephone survey was found to be underestimating the recreational effort. Improvements to the intercept survey that measure catch rates also influenced the changes in recreational estimates. In summary, the intercept survey at angler access points was redesigned to make it more statistically robust, and these changes were less influential than that of the effort survey changes. The revised estimates of historical recreational catch had a significant impact on our understanding of the stock status. The 2019 operational stock assessment indicates that the stock for bluefish is overfished and overfishing is not occurring. The top graph shows bluefish spawning stock biomass and recruitment. The solid black line, biomass, which falls beneath the dotted line, the spawning stock biomass threshold, shows that the stock is overfished. The gray bars represent the relatively constant recruitment present within the fishery. Since the stock is overfished, the Council is initiating a rebuilding plan as required by the Magnuson-Stevens Act that will rebuild the stock back to the spawning stock biomass maximum sustainable yield. The bottom graph shows catch in the bars, which has fluctuated over the time series, and fishing mortality, the solid black line. the fishing mortality line drops below FMSY, the fishing mortality at MSY, maximum sustainable yield, which is 0.183 in 2018. And this represents that overfishing is not occurring as a result of the most recent operational assessment. The next few slides highlight a list of potential issues that may be addressed in the amendment to give the public an idea of what issues have been previously raised or are likely to be raised. Please keep in mind, as the issues are described, that this list is not limiting. It's meant to describe general categories of issues that may be addressed in order to elicit public comment. Not all listed items will necessarily be addressed in the amendment, and priority issues for further development will be identified by the Council and Commission after the scoping period and consideration of all public comments. The first issue is a review of the objectives of the FMP, the Fishery Management Plan, which are listed here as well as in the scoping document. These goals and objectives have been the same since 1990, so this amendment will consider updating them. In summary, the FMP goals and objectives are to increase understanding of the stock, provide the highest availability of bluefish, provide for cooperation among management, promote compatible management, prevent recruitment overfishing, and reduced overall waste within the fisheries. The second issue is the commercial and recreational allocations. The original FMP, which was developed in 1990, designated the first set of allocations. These were 80% recreational and 20% commercial of the annual catch limit. Then, Amendment 1, which was developed in 1999, reallocated quota within the fishery to 83% recreational and 17% commercial of the annual catch limit, and this is where we currently are. This was done using data from 1981 to 1989, and now the Council is considering updating these allocations with a more recent time series. The table below shows the landings-based allocation split for the current time series, the Amendment 1 series, those current allocations and new estimated allocations with updated time series for both the new and old MRIP data for comparison. The third issue in the amendment is the commercial allocations to the states. Amendment 1, which was developed in 1999, set the commercial allocations to the states. This is done using data from 1981 to 1989. Now, the Council is considering updating these allocations with a more recent time series. However, trends in state harvests have shifted, especially with annual state-to-state transfers in recent years. The table below shows the landings-based state-by-state allocation split for the current Amendment 1 allocations and new estimated allocations with updated time series for both the new and old MRIP data for comparison. The fourth issue in the amendment is the quota transfers. There are two different kinds of transfers that can occur through the bluefish specifications process as described in the Fishery Management Plan. The first are commercial state-to-state quota transfers. In state quota transfers, they occur when one state is anticipated to land their quota, yet they want to continue to land more fish. Through this process, they can request quota from another state that is not anticipated to land their entire quota. These occur on an annual basis and have become repetitive amongst a few states, especially in recent years. The second type of transfer is from the recreational to the commercial sector. Quota can be transferred when the recreational sector is not anticipated to land their entire quota. When this occurs, quota can be transferred to the commercial sector with the commercial quota not to exceed a total of 10.5 million pounds. This transfer has occurred in most years since 2001. The fifth issue is the rebuilding plan. The bluefish stock was designated overfished through the 2019 operational assessment. This warrants a rebuilding plan through the Magnuson-Stevens Act. The Council now has 2 years to submit a plan as of November 2019 with the goal of being rebuilt within 10 years. To rebuild, we need to understand what fishing at the current acceptable biological catch would do to the stock. At the current acceptable biological catch of 16.28 million pounds, initial projections show that the stock could be rebuilt within as little as 5 years. However, the Council may decide that the current acceptable biological catch is not appropriate for rebuilding. Typically, the Council has a few alternatives that range from rebuilding within 3 to 5 to 7 or even 10 years. All of these alternatives will allow the Council to evaluate and compare the catches and economics. According to the Magnuson-Stevens Act rebuilding, the plan should be as short as possible while taking into account the status and biology of any overfished stocks, the needs of fishing communities, recommendations by international organizations in which the United States participates, and the interaction of the overfished stock within the marine ecosystem. The final issue in the amendment is other issues. This issue is in place to allow the public to identify any other associated issues within the fishery. And these comments do not need to be limited to the issues included in the scoping document. When developing your public comment, please consider the following. Are the existing objectives, allocations, and/or management strategies appropriate for managing the bluefish fishery? If not, how should they be revised? And then ultimately, what else should the Council and Commission consider with regard to these issues? The entire scoping process includes 11 hearings up and down the coast from as far north as Massachusetts and as far south as Florida. One of these 11 hearings will be a webinar. The written comment period is open now until Tuesday, March 17th, 2020 at 11:59 p.m. Comments can be submitted via email, web form, mail, or fax to the Council. Presented here is a tentative amendment timeline, and a slightly more detailed version is available in the scoping document. This timeline includes scoping, our current place within amendment development, all the way to final action, which is anticipated for some time in 2021. And please note that all of these dates are tentative and subject to change. Thank you for tuning into this recording of the Bluefish Allocation and Rebuilding Amendment. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions or concerns and submit your comments with the following information on the next slide. Thank you.